What's going on YouTube? GlazedAndConfused here, back again, finally, with another deck profile. I know it's been a little while, but hopefully I'm going to be able to get back into this and start making some more videos for you guys. Today we're going to be looking at Dinomist Dracos, which I like to affectionately call Dracomists. And it's an extremely budget deck. I think only one of the core Dinomists is anything higher than this, a rare, and there's only one rare. So it's an extremely budget deck. You can get most of it. I would say you can get the core for under $10 easily. And with the inclusion of the Dracoslayers into this deck, it makes it incredibly consistent and very, very strong because of the amount of board presence you can consistently throw out there using their pendulum scales. So let's get into it. Our first monster is 3 Dinomist Brachion. Brachion is a level 5 Dinomist with a scale of 6. And Dinomist monsters with scales of 6 can prevent other Dinomist monsters you control from being targeted by card effects. So when you use its effect in the Pendulum Zone, it'll send itself to the extra deck to sacrifice itself basically for the Dinomist monster on the field. Its monster effect is also pretty good. It allows itself to be special summoned from the hand when you do not control the monster with the highest attack on the field, which means it's kind of like a Cyber Dragon but for Dinomists. So it's a pretty solid card to have in your opening hand. And our next monster is a scale 3 Dinomist, which is 3 Dinomist Ceratops. Ceratops and Brachion actually have really good synergy because Ceratops' monster effect allows itself to be special summoned when you only control Dinomist monsters. So a Brachion and Ceratops in hand is almost a guaranteed rank 5 Xyz. It's also a scale 3, which means that when it's in the Pendulum Zone, you can send it to the extra deck to prevent a Dinomist monster you control from being destroyed by battle or card effect. So you can see how when you have a scale 3 and a scale 6 Dinomist in your Pendulum Zone, your Dinomist monsters are virtually indestructible. Our next monster is 3 Dinomist Plesios, and Plesios is also a scale 6, but its monster effect is also pretty good. Its effect makes your opponent's monsters lose 100 in attack and defense for every Dinomist monster you control. And that stacks, so if you have more than one Plesios, you're going to get that effect more than once. So Plesios is a dangerous card. It might not seem as drastic as it actually is, so I definitely recommend you try and test this out. And it's also a great scale. Our next Dinomist is another level 4, just like Plesios. It's Dinomist Pteran. Pteran is your Searcher Dinomist, and it's also the only rare Dinomist monster. It's a scale 3, but it also has 1800 attack, so it's kind of too good to just let sit in your Pendulum Zone. And when it destroys a monster by battle, you can add a Dino card from your deck to your hand. So if you're going to add one of your Dinomist cards, that could be one of your spell cards. It doesn't have to be a monster. So Dinomist Pteran is a really, really good searcher for the deck. And next we move on to one of our big Dinomist monsters, which is Dinomist Rex. It has 2400 attack, and if you use its effect, you contribute Dinomist monsters, which send them to the extra deck so they can be used again. You can use its effect to have it attack twice, or even to bounce back a monster that it didn't destroy at the end of the damage step. So Dinomist Rex is a very, very scary card to have to come up against, especially once you combine it with cards like Plesios to make your opponent's monsters lose attack and defense, and you give it the protection benefits of the Pendulum Scales. Rex can be quite a monster to have to try and get over. And now we play 2 Dinomist Spinos, which is pretty similar to Rex actually. It can make a second attack by tributing a Dinomist monster, but it can also attack directly. So there's options for you to use in both of these cards, but if you have a decent amount of board presence with Dinomist monsters already, Dinomist Spinos and Dinomist Rex are going to be your best friends because they can just continuously use their effects. And for the last of the Dinomists, we have 2 Dinomist Stegosaur. And Stegosaur is basically the king of the 1-for-1 in this deck. If a Pendulum monster you control battles, note that says Pendulum, and it doesn't just mean Dinomist, you can destroy the attacking monster and the Pendulum monster. And since it is a Pendulum monster, it'll go to the extra deck, so you can probably summon it next turn anyway. So Stegosaur's pretty good. And that's it for the Dinomist cards. And now we're going to move on to the Dracoslayer engine in this deck. So we're going to have 2 Master Pendulum, the Dracoslayer. Master Pendulum is a scale 3, so you can use that in replace of one of your scale 3 Dinomists if you so choose, or if maybe you don't have one. Next, we have 2 Vector Pendulum, the Dracoslayer. And Vector obviously negates the effects of other Pendulum monsters that your opponent controls, which is pretty handy, and it's also another scale 3. And last, of course, we have the one of Luster Pendulum, the Dracoslayer. This card is amazing, helps you go into everything in your extra deck, because it is a level 4, it is a tuner, which means that's Ignister. And for the last of the monsters, we have 1 Rescue Rabbit, simply because we have a bunch of normal monsters in your Dracoslayers, and you can easily bring them out with Rescue Rabbit. So that's it for the monsters. Starting off with spells, we have 3 Dinomist Charge. This is your search card, and it also helps you recycle your Dinomists. I think you absolutely have to play 3 Dinomist Charge in this deck, because in order to get the scales consistently refreshed, and to get more board presence, you always want to be adding more Dinomists. And then obviously it helps you recycle. Instead of adding to the extra deck, you can add to the hand. So there's ways that you can use Dinomist Charge that just consistently refresh your hand, which is a great thing to have in a deck that expends resources this much. Next, we have 2 Dinomic Powerload. And Powerload basically gives all of your Dinomists not only an attack boost, but it gives them Armades' effect, which means that they can attack without having to worry about responses that your opponent might have. So Dinomic Powerload is a really, really good card to have in addition to the monsters in your Pendulum scale. And this is a very battle-heavy deck, so Powerload is definitely a good card to have. We have 1 Draco Face Off. I would love to play more than 1, but unfortunately the ban hammer came down pretty hard on this, but it still helps you get the monsters out that you need, and helps you get your Dracoslayers to the field very quickly. And since this is a machine deck, we play 1 limiter removal, because there's a very high chance that you'll be OTKing in this deck. 2 Mystical Space Typhoon, because you don't really want to deal with a lot of back row in a deck that battles this much. 1 Pot of Riches, because you need that recycling ability because of all the Pendulum monsters you'll be using. And 1 Terraforming, so you can get your Dynamic Powerload out quicker. So starting off our trap lineup, we have 2 Dinomist Rush. Rush allows you to special summon a Dinomist monster from your deck. It's unaffected by card effects, and it's destroyed at the end phase of the turn. And obviously you guys know that when a Pendulum monster is destroyed, it goes to the extra deck, and then it can be summoned the next turn, basically. And that's what Dinomists do. They just consistently have more reinforcements and more reinforcements. And since there's no limit on what kind of Dinomist you can summon, you can just summon your Rex, you can summon your Spinos if you need to lower your opponent's attack and defense, Plesios. I mean, the possibilities are endless with Dinomist Rush, so that's why I really like it in this deck. We play 1 Pendulum Reborn. This is a card I've never used until this deck, and I'm really just using it as a tech choice, because if you lose your Luster Pendulum, or you lose your Master Pendulum, or even if you need a Dinomist back from the grave, Pendulum Reborn can be pretty handy. It's an interesting choice, and it's helped me out a couple times. And last, we have 1 Bottomless Trap Hole, because it's a staple, and 1 Compulsory Evacuation device, because it's a staple. So that's it for the traps, and now we'll move on to the extra deck. So I'm not going to show you guys a full extra deck for this deck, because it's really just a rank 4 and rank 5 toolbox. You can fill it up with whatever cards you'd like. But I will show you some of the more unique recommendations I would come up with for this deck, and that includes 2 Dinosaur Power, the Mighty Dracoslayer. Dinosaur Power can be easily summoned in this deck as long as you have a Dracoslayer and a Pendulum monster. It has a whopping 2950 defense, which is very, very formidable. It helps you keep your Pendulum monsters alive, and it helps you special summon Dracoslayers. I don't know what more you could need. It's a fantastic card in this deck, along with Magister Paladin, the Ascending Dracoslayer. It's also a really good card in this deck because it helps you just search and special summon more Dracoslayers to get your big guy out, who's basically the card you want to go for as quick as possible in this deck. Ignister Prominence, the Blasting Dracoslayer. I really, really wish they didn't limit this card to 1, because you can make a lot of this guy if you have the resources. But unfortunately, he is at 1. He helps you destroy scales. Doesn't have to be yours. It can be your opponent's as well. Helps you bounce cards. Helps you special summon. I mean, Dinomist Prominence is probably the best Dracoslayer card out there. Onto the Xyz, Gear getting an X, because most of these cards are machine-type monsters, so you can search them out with him. Snowdust Giant. This is a budget deck, so you can include cards like these. Snowdust Giant is one of those cards that uses water-type monsters, and since all the Dinomists are water, Snowdust Giant can be used. One effect of Abyss Dweller that people usually overlook is that it gains attack when it has a water monster attached to it. So not only do you have Dweller's graveyard antics going on, but you also have a 2200 beater on the field. So Dweller is a really formidable threat in this deck. And last, number 73, Abyss Splash. This card is basically like a super budget Utopia the Lightning, and it's extremely easy to summon in this deck because you have lots of level 5s. And that's it for the extra deck. Again, like I said, I'm not going to show you guys a full extra deck because you guys can just fill it up with your various tech choices. You could go Utopia the Lightning. You can go Gaga Cowboy. I mean, there's tons of choices. Armades, Volcasaurus. And if you're really not playing budget, which this deck was meant to be budget, you can go Cyber Dragon Nova into Cyber Dragon Infinity. But of course, not everybody has that kind of money to spend on cardboard, so this is a budget build of the deck, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. So, there you guys have it. That's the Dracomist deck profile. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this. Again, like I said, I'm sorry for being away for so long, but hopefully I'll be able to get back into the swing of things now. And yeah, enjoy this budget build of Dracomists. So I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know if you guys liked it. And yeah, catch you later. See ya.